Up next, here's John Dyer demonstrating the sound assistant. If you know how to manage your sound assistant on your Samsung device, this is it. John?
Hi, John here, and today we're going to be talking about an app called Sound Assistant. I'm going to do a quick demonstration of all the different settings that you can adjust with it. I just need to say from the start, this is only going to be available for Samsung devices, and more specifically, Samsung devices running full One UI. So if you have a device with One UI Core, unfortunately, this isn't going to work for you. So the app is called Sound Assistant. It is available from the Galaxy Store, and it's by Good Luck Labs. And we will provide the link to it in the show notes or video description. So I have the app open here, and I'm just going to go through some of these settings and explain them to you.
Customize volume panel heading.
So the first section is for adjusting the volume panel.
Customize volume panel, change the app volume slider, floating button and more.
So I'm going to go in here.
Customize volume panel. Navigate up button.
And this app is mostly accessible, but it has a little bit of quirkiness here and there. But the good thing is you only really need to go in this app once to get it configured, and then it just does everything for you from that point on.
Customize volume panel. Sound Assistant on switch.
So this switch that's labeled Sound Assistant is the switch for specifically customizing the sound panel. I'm going to turn it on.
Off.
Or excuse me, it was on. I'm going to
On.
turn it back on. And near the bottom,
Custom, change the app volume slider, floating button and more.
I'm going to click here.
Navigate up button.
So down near the bottom, you're going to have some options.
Selected move.
Move, this is whether or not you can move the volume panel up and down. In order to do it here with TalkBack enabled, you will have to double tap and hold on the volume slider and slide it up or down to adjust its position.
Layout left.
This will decide whether you want the volume panel to appear on the left side of your screen or the right side of your screen.
Selected, show volume level.
This is whether you want it to show the volume level or not. I'm going to turn this off because it's a little bit redundant, since using TalkBack, when the slider is in focus, it tells you what the slider is set to. So I think it makes it a little bit simpler not to have the number displayed there.
Floating button.
And this is whether you want the floating button, which I don't like, but if you want a floating button that's always on your screen that you can get to adjust your volume, that's an option. But I'd rather just press the volume keys and have the volume sliders appear.
Selected, standard panel, tab.
So these were all the settings for the standard panel. And the next tab,
Expanded panel, tab.
is the expanded panel.
Expanded panel. Custom. Selected. Page 2 of 2.
So this is when you're adjusting the volume and then you expand it to have it show all the volume levels. This is the panel that's going to be here.
Standard panel, tab. Selected app volume.
And these are the options for it. App volume, I'll touch on this later, but if you've set specific apps to have their own individual volumes, this is where you would go to have it show up in the expanded volume panel.
Show toolbar functions.
Toolbar functions I haven't really messed with because some of them are unlabeled, but it allows you to get to the equalizer and stuff like that.
Bluetooth metronome.
And then Bluetooth metronome is, this is whether or not you want a quick access to the Bluetooth metronome from your volume panel, which I'll touch on later as well. So I'm going to back out of here.
Customize volume panel. Sound Assistant.
So we're back on the main page now, and the next option is
Make your own volume panel colors. Change the color of the volume panel.
I'm not even going to go into this because it doesn't really apply to most blind users. If you're low vision, it might help you to make the volume panel high contrast. This part of the app isn't completely accessible, so you would need some vision to figure it out anyway. But I'm going to just skip over that.
More volume settings. Heading. Individual app volumes. Control the volume of each app.
This is what I touched on earlier. So if you want to have a specific app have its own volume adjustment. So for example, let's say there's a radio app you listen to and the volume is always too loud and you want it to just be 50% of whatever the media volume is, or you just want to be able to adjust it separately from the media volume. This is where you would go to add those media apps to have their own volume controls. And then if you add them to the volume panel, the expanded panel, you'll actually have a slider for that specific app to adjust its volume by itself. And next we have
Control media volume on switch.
So this is on by default, and this just is what your volume keys will control. So Android by default, when you press the volume keys, it adjusts the media volume. But if you turn this switch off, then it will adjust the ringtone volume instead. So if you want your volume keys to adjust the ringtone volume when your media is not playing, then you would turn the switch off.
Media manner mode. When your phone is set to vibrate or mute, media volume is also muted. Off switch.
So that's self-explanatory. When you put your phone on silent, it will also set media volume to 0.
Change step volume. Select a step on the media slider to adjust the rate at which the volume is changed. 67% slider.
So this lets you have control over how finely you can adjust your volume. So I think by default there's 15 volume steps. So if I raise this slider, it will make it so there's less volume steps. And if I lower the slider, it will make it so there's more volume steps. So the more volume steps you have, the more control you have over the exact volume level, but the more times you will have to press it to get to the volume you want. So you'll just have to decide what works best for you, or you might just like it how it is by default.
Media key shortcuts. Heading. Control music with volume keys on.
Okay, this is one of my favorite features. What this does is it allows you to control media while your screen is off. So with this turned on, if you're listening to music and your screen is off and you press and hold volume up, it will skip to the next track. If you press and hold volume down, it will go to the previous track. So basically, the equivalent of whatever headset controls would do, it makes it so your volume keys do that when you press and hold them. And of course, you can still adjust the volume with the screen off just by pressing the volume key and releasing it. But if you press and hold it, is when you'll go to the next or previous track. And if you go into this section here, you can swap them. If you'd rather volume up be previous track and volume down be next track, you can change that in here. But I'm going to go on to the next.
On. Control music with volume keys. Switch. Favorite media app. Select an app to play and control music when you press multimedia keys on your connected headphones, Bluetooth device, etc. If the currently open app supports multimedia keys, it will play through that app instead.
So basically, if none of your apps are open, you can specify a specific app that you always want to start playing media when you press play on your headset.
Off. Favorite media app. Switch. External audio devices. Heading. Bluetooth metronome, sync Bluetooth sound for videos.
Okay, this doesn't really apply for those of us who are completely blind, but this will let you sync the sound of your Bluetooth headset with the picture if it is off. But let's move on.
Advanced settings, change the advanced audio settings on your device.
I'm going to go in here.
Advanced settings. Navigate up button. Advanced settings. Alerts through headphones, notification.
Okay, this is one of my favorite features. So what you can do here is set the alerts to come through your headset only. By default, if you get a phone call or a notification, it will play in your headphones and out of your phone speaker, but you can adjust that here.
On alerts through headphones, switch. Reverse stereo, swap the left and right, audio outputs on headphones off, switch disabled.
And I guess this is for those of you who like to wear your headphones backwards. You can reverse the channels.
On alerts through headphones, notification.
I just want
Alerts
to go
through
into
headphones.
here
Navigate up button.
to point out for the alerts for headphones, you have
Ringtone off switch. Alarm off switch. Notification on switch.
you can adjust which ones you want to come through your headset and which you want to come through your headset and your phone. So, for example, you might want your notifications and ringtones to come through your headset only, but you might want your alarm to also come out of your phone, in case you've fallen asleep and lost your earbud or something.
Advanced settings. Sound assistant.
And now we're back on the main page. Next we have
Sound and vibration effects heading. Customize vibration patterns, make your vibration pattern, and set it as your ringtone or notification alert.
So this is where you would go if you want to make your own vibration pattern. So if you have a certain rhythm or something you want to make, you can go here.
Concert hall, simulate the reverb of a concert hall off switch.
That's pretty self-explanatory.
Voice changer, apply fun effects to the microphone.
Okay, so we're going to go in here.
Voice changer. Navigate up button. Space off switch.
So this space switch is for voice changer. I'm going to enable it.
On. When an app starts using the microphone, you'll get a notification through which you can use voice changer in real time.
So this is the default behavior where you will have to go into the notification and enable per app when you want the voice changer to be active.
Always use voice effects. Voice effects will be applied whenever the microphone is in use off switch.
But if you turn this on, you won't have to deal with the notification. It will just be on, but you might want to remember it's on because your voice will always be changed.
Record your voice heading. Unlabeled.
So I'm just going to record a sample here. This is a sample recording.
Voice effects heading. Default.
So let's see if it recorded me. This is a sample recording. Okay, so I'm going to go through some of these.
Little girl.
Let's see what this sounds like.
This is a sample recording.
Okay.
Middle-aged man.
I won't do all these, but
Sci-fi horror.
I will go
Warbling.
through them.
Ethereal. Lo-fi landline.
This one I think sounds like a stormtrooper. This is a sample recording.
Robot.
This one I think sounds like when people disguise their voices when they're being interviewed because they don't want their identity to be known.
This is a sample recording.
I think there's one more.
Baby.
Yeah.
This is a sample recording.
So basically, this works with most apps. Like if you wanted to send a voice message on Telegram, this is how you would sound if you have this enabled. And Like I said, it works on most apps. It does not work in the regular phone. If you were planning on using this to try to prank somebody, beware that it's not going to disguise your voice in those situations.
Space on, switch. Off.
And back out of here.
Sound assistant. Voice changer, apply fun effects to the microphone. Off, voice changer, switch.
And next we have
Multi-sound, select which app can play audio at the same time as other apps.
So by default, Android will, so if you're listening to media in one app and you go to play media in another app, obviously it automatically stops the media that was already playing and plays the new media. If you don't like this for some reason, you can go in here and change it so that either specific apps always play in the background or all apps continue to play in the background and you just have to manually stop them. And this is actually the last setting in the Sound Assistant app, so this concludes my run through, and I hope this has been informative. Thank you for listening.